This is Ansa's speech written by Onyinye O. Ansa was a respectful and intelligent girl. She lived with her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Bassi, her sister Afyong, and her aunt Atum. Ansa was 13 years old and went to Courage Secondary School. She loved going to school. Ansa loved singing on her way to school every day. Ansa helped keep her class tidy. This made her teacher very happy. The name of her teacher was Miss Ekanem. She was a good teacher, and Ansa was one of her best students. Ansa's school was making plans to celebrate its 10-year anniversary. Ansa was selected to give a speech at the event. The speech was to celebrate the local politician for his gifts to the school. Ansa was excited about the celebrations, although she was nervous about reading her speech in public. Miss Ekanem told her, "Don't worry, you're a brave girl, you'll do well." She wanted to finish writing her speech. As she was getting close to the gate, she saw a man on the electric pole. Her aunt Atum was standing outside. She asked her aunt, "Who is he? Why is he on the pole?" Her aunt Atum replied, "He is cutting off the electricity supply. They keep giving us high bills. The bill last month was 35,000 naira. Your parents did not pay all the money because they knew that bill was not correct." Aunt Atum continued to plead with the man on the electric pole. The man came down and said, "If you give me 10,000 naira, I will not cut off your electricity." Aunt Atum was helpless as they needed electricity. He was about to climb the pole again to cut off the supply when she shouted,
"Please wait. Let me give you some of the money."
Ansa was watching and confused. She said to her aunt, "Why are we giving him money? A bribe is bad and that's not fair." Aunt Atum replied, "I had no choice. You will need light to finish your speech in the evening, and I have clothes to iron." Ansa felt sad that the man from the electric company had asked her aunt for money. Ansa said quietly, "He's a bully." Later that afternoon, Ansa's sister Afyong fell ill. She had eaten fruit that day before without washing it. Mrs. Bassi said it might be food poisoning. Afyong was getting sicker. Mrs. Bassi had to drive her to the hospital. Ansa insisted on going with her mom to the hospital. She allowed Ansa to come along. On their way to the hospital, they were stopped by a vehicle inspection officer known as a VIO. He asked for the car papers, and Mrs. Bassi showed them to him. All her car papers were up to date. The VIO was disappointed. He then accused Mrs. Bassi of driving too fast, even though she had not. He also accused her of breaking the law by driving a car that was in a bad condition. "This car should not be on the road. I will seize the car and take it to the office if you don't give me some lunch money."
What do you mean?
He meant a bribe. Mrs. Bassi tried to argue with him.
Please, I do not know what you
The
mean.
VIO officer got angry, jumped into the car and took the car keys. Meanwhile, Afyong was crying out in pain at the back of the car. Mrs. Bassi lost her patience and gave the VIO officer 1,000 naira. They were allowed to continue their journey. Ansa was shocked and angry. She said to her mom, "That was a very wicked officer." As they drove to the hospital, Ansa kept on thinking of the wicked officer. She was so upset about it. Ansa was angry that he had made her mom scared and took money from her before allowing them to go. Not wanting to keep quiet about it, she asked her mom, "Why did you give that man money? Was it a bribe? It is bad to pay bribes. That man uses his power to steal from us." Her mom replied, "Yes, my daughter, it is a bribe, but what can I do? I needed to get to the hospital quickly." Ansa kept quiet. She was angry about the behavior of the wicked officer.
Move now. Get off the road.
When they got to the hospital, the receptionist insisted that they paid a registration fee of 2,000 naira, even though the official rate was 1,500 naira. Mrs. Bassi tried to argue with her.
I need to speak to
The
your
receptionist said, "Madam, do you want your daughter to see the doctor today?
Eh?
If you are not ready to pay, please move so that I can talk to other patients."
Just 2,000 naira, not 1,500.
Ansa was sitting on a chair watching her mom and the receptionist.
Why are you telling me
She was so upset at how rude the receptionist was. Ansa was also angry that the receptionist was asking for a bribe. She thought to herself, why are all these people forcing us to pay bribes? First, it was that bully on the pole, then the wicked officer, and now this naughty receptionist. Mrs. Bassi had to pay the 2,000 naira because Afyong needed to see a doctor urgently.
Yeah, please, help my daughter.
It was dark by the time they had finished with the doctor. Ansa was hungry and tired. Her sister was lying down in the back of the car. On the way home, they got stopped by a policeman. "Anything for the boys tonight?"
I saw you.
Policeman asked, although it was not really meant as a question. He looked angry and waved his gun around as he spoke. Ansa said to herself, "Not again." Now an angry policeman asking for a bribe. Mrs. Bassi gave the policeman 1,000 naira.
Please, we're in a hurry.
Mrs. Bassi was so tired, and under her breath she said, "Corruption will destroy us." Ansa was so sad, she said to herself, "I just want to go home and sleep." She had not even prepared her speech. Ansa lay down on her bed and said, "What a terrible day." Ansa could not sleep well that night. She kept thinking about all the bribes that her family had to pay. The following day was the school celebration. Ansa was to present her speech on behalf of her class. The bad events that happened the day before still made her feel bad. Miss Ekanem saw her looking sad and asked, "What's the problem, Ansa? You don't look happy." She explained how her aunt Atim had paid a bribe to that bully of a man on the pole, and her mom paid bribes to the wicked officer, naughty receptionist, and angry policeman. Ansa was now angry herself and wanted something to be done to stop bribery. Miss Ekanem said, "It is sad that you had to see all that. Bribery is a form of corruption. It is a big problem in this country. Don't be sad though. We can all help to fight corruption. First, we need to start by showing good examples and acting with integrity." Ansa was still not happy. The school anniversary celebrations began in the afternoon. Chief Okon, the local politician, was the special guest of honor. He was a member of one of the major political parties called the Making People Proud MPP party. Chief Okon was one of the big donors to the school. Ansa was called to read her speech. When she got to the stage, she decided to change some things. Ansa began. "Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am very angry to be here today. Angry not because of the celebration, but angry at what our society has become." Her school principal looked surprised. Her friends and teachers were making signs at her to stop. Chief Okon started to look embarrassed, but she did not listen. She continued her speech. Ansa said, "Our leaders have failed us. Our government has failed us. And politicians have failed us too.
This is getting embarrassing.
Including Chief Okon here today."
Preposterous.
One of the teachers started going to the stage to take her away, but Mr. Kanem stopped him on the way. She whispered firmly, "Let the young girl speak her mind." Ansa continued her speech. My family paid bribes 4 times. Yesterday, 4 times. This is not the country I want to live in. You can't go to the hospital in peace. You can't drive in peace. I call on my schoolmates here today. Nobody should use their job to get bribes from people. It is bullying. It is criminal. And it is destroying our country. Parents, be a good example to your children. Ask everyone you know to show good examples. Ask everyone you know to have integrity. We need to do the right thing. Doing the right thing will save our country. We don't have to be bad. We don't have to do bad things just because everyone else is doing it. The school hall was in great silence during Ansa's speech. Everyone stood and clapped for Ansa. The school principal, who was angry at the beginning of Ansa's speech, also clapped. All the students started chanting her name. Ansa, Ansa. Chief Okon was embarrassed and left. There were many news reporters at the event. They all rushed to Ansa to interview her. The following morning, Ansa's speech was all over social media and newspapers. Ansa became a young champion against corruption. The Inspector General of Police called the school to speak to Ansa. He wanted to get more information about the policeman who asked for a bribe. He spoke to Ansa and promised to deal with the policeman. That evening, the Inspector General of Police gave a press conference. He told the press that the policeman had been sacked. Not only was he sacked, he was jailed for 3 months. He also explained how he planned to stop other policemen from asking for bribes. The VIO officer and the receptionist were also sacked from their jobs. Ansa was glad that people were taking action to stop bribery.
Finally.
The following week, the president invited Ansa and gave her an award as a young anti-corruption ambassador for her courage. Ansa appeared on many radio and TV shows. She became a national star on integrity. Ansa was invited all over the world to give speeches at global conferences. Her school was very proud of her. Every student in Courage Secondary School wanted to be like Ansa. More students became confident to talk about issues that disturbed them. Ansa and her parents were sitting down in the living room watching the television. They were excited watching Ansa. It was one of the television programs where Ansa was invited to talk about her corruption experience. Mr. and Mrs. Bassi were so proud of Ansa. Her dad said, "Look at our daughter. Look at our daughter. Oh. See how confident she is. We are really proud of you." Ansa replied with a smile. "You taught me to speak up against bad things. That is exactly what I did, just following in your footsteps." They all smiled and hugged each other.